Good morning everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to drill a hole neatly into a block of wood to fit a narrow tang. Now this knife I'm working on is a dagger. We want a nice symmetrical shape on the handle. So the tang isn't very broad. Also, dagger is a stabbing weapon, not a chopping weapon. So the tang doesn't need to be as beefy as we do it for the Bowie knives. But the point of today's exercise is to show you how to drill a hole in this nice piece of wood. Okay, so what I've got here is my little ferrule that I've pre-ground, just so I can get the appropriate depth. This knife will also be getting a cross guard over here with a bit of a diameter in it, but that I'm going to do later. Right now I'm just going to show you how to fit the piece of wood. So this is basically, if you've got a tapered tang, something maybe a little bit more than this, that's wider at the top than it is at the bottom, you want to be sure that you don't drill the hole bigger than you need it to be, so that the piece of wood rattles around a little bit too much. So you want the tang to fit into the piece of wood nice and tight. Now we don't have to burn this in. All we have to do is drill correctly, a little bit of rasping if necessary, and we're good to go. So you can see what I've got here is I've got my tang on my knife with the ferrule. Now the ferrule, just to show us where the piece of block of wood's going to go up to, and we're going to take a piece of wood like that, and we're going to make sure everything's in the middle. A pencil, we're going to mark the tang. Okay, so I've got the basics over here, you can see. So all I'm going to do is just extend it up to there, and on the bottom. Now this nice thing about this particular tang, it's pretty parallel, so drilling the hole should be quite easy. Now the next step is to take these lines that I've done here, over here, and I'm just with my finger, or you can use a set square or something to do this, but I find this is sufficient. Nice and neat. And I'll just use this finger, this one, my birdie finger, to just brace my other fingers so that it makes a nice straight line. Okay, so there we go. And then in the middle I'll do the same thing, one, and just holding the pencil firmly in my hand, I do it again. That gives me a center mark. You can use calipers or a vernier or any other thing to make sure that you get it in the center. This is just the sort of kitchen sink method that I use. Then I do the same to the other side. Come on. Now you notice I didn't turn this one around because I've got these two lines as a guide, so that's what I use. Alright. So, but now when I do it the center, I'll mark it and turn it and mark it. So I'll send it. So these are the lines that I've drawn for myself. There, there, and there. Okay. So now I've measured the. I'm going to just so that you can see. I'm going to measure the thickness, which is quite thick. This little guy. Thickest part is just under 7 millimeters. So I'm going to drill a 7 millimeter hole, and we're going to go from there. Alright, you can see now, set the block of wood up in the drill press. I've given it enough room here to get the maximum pull out of my drill press, so it's going to go as deep as I can. Basically want it just over halfway. If you find a lot of guys that drill with a long drill bit and try and drill all the way through. The problem with doing that is a long drill bit will tend to follow the softer parts of the wood, and you'll drill a hole nice and straight in the middle, in the top, but when it comes out the bottom it'll be off center. So by doing it the half and half method like we're doing now, we guarantee that the two meet in the middle. Now this is much easier than you think it is. It's really not complicated. Okay, so now this is a piece of desert ironwood. This is an expensive piece of wood. I do this with any other expensive material with the same results each and every time. Alright, so basically what I'm going to do is I've got to line up the drill press with the line on the one side. So if your tang is tapered, you will then adjust the block of wood one way or the other to compensate for the taper, as long as the drill is in line with the line that you've drawn. Okay, so I've checked that. That one's in line. It is square here. We check it here to make sure that it lies perpendicular to the surface of the block of wood. And then of course I just drill. Then I tighten my tighten your vise first. Nice and fast drill for wood. Just slowly to get it in. You don't want it sliding around, and then go for it. Don't be afraid. Desert ironwood's kind of oily, so don't just push it through, otherwise it'll start smoking. And you have to keep stopping to unclog your drill bit. So just tap on the side to clean out the thing, the drill. Oh, you know, it's starting to clog up. Okay, there you see the smoke. Ah, there we go. It cleans itself. There we go. Okay, so that's our first hole drilled. Now we're going to take it and we put it there. Now, fortunately, these lines are almost parallel, but they're not quite parallel. This does need a bit of a tweak. There you go. That's better. Now I'm just going to repeat the process. You'll notice I just tap the drill on that little space between the two holes to clean off everything that's sticking into the drill bit. In fact, now that I think about it, probably a faster speed would have been better for this. Alright, here we go. Now comes the fun part. You can turn it around, we're going to do the same thing from the other side. And this is where most guys stress, because you think, what if it goes through and it doesn't meet the hole on the other end? If you make these marks and just follow these lines, I promise you it will. So I'm going to check. See, now that's not in line. Let's see if we can get a little closer. And focus. Let's focus on there. Okay, it doesn't want to focus, so I'm just going to pull out a little bit. That's what she said. Alright, hang on. I'm just going to try and get it closer, a bit better position. Alright, here we go. Okay, so we're just going to make sure that it's all lined up. There we go. There we go, slips through. And we do the other side. Now, this tang was slightly tapered, so you'll find okay, let's have a look. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean out the gap between the two, just using the drill bit, sort of like a milling machine. Remember, because it was slightly tapered, this little gap in the middle does get thinner as we move through. I highly recommend doing this in the vise and not by hand. There's a tendency to grab and fling the piece of wood around, which, if any of you have experienced that, is quite painful. It doesn't cut you or anything, but it just leaves you with bruised hands. Okay, now it's clogging up a little bit, so we want to empty it. Again, we do the same from the other side. Now at this point, if you want to, you can get that long drill bit of yours and push it all the way through just to make sure the holes are cleared. Okay, struggling just a little bit. So what I'm going to do, instead of putting a long drill bit in, I'm going to just lengthen this one. There you go. This is a good opportunity to see how we compensate. There we go, that's nice. It was just a little gap between the two spaces that wasn't cooperating. Now I'm using the tip of the drill bit just to wear down the sides of the hole. Here we go, now I can see right through it. I'm going to try with the camera. There you go. Look at that, bang down the middle. Cool. So we're just going to use the drill bit. Now, because the hole has already been drilled, now I can use this just to clean out the existing hole. The reason you shouldn't do this while you're trying to clean out the gap between the two holes is because then the drill bit is cutting, it'll grab a piece of wood and fling it around. Now, my holes are already there, and now all I'm doing is just neatening it up. Okay, so there we go. Whoop, where is it? Let's do it against the light. There we go, look at that. Bang down the middle. You too can put holes in wood. Alright, so now we're going to trial fit it quickly on the tang. Hey, look at that. Almost all the way. Now if I look at how it fits, I can tell what needs to be done. Now the hole is wide enough, I can see. I don't know if you can see there. Okay, barely, but I can see it. Okay, the hole is wide enough. I just need to work down the sides of the hole. So which means I can use the drill bit to do that rather than a rasp, because I've rounded my tang here. You can see here, I've rounded my tang. Okay, see the tang's been rounded. So I don't know why this camera is not focusing. So the tang's been rounded. Alright, so all I have to do is run it in and out of the drill a couple of times, and I should be able to. Okay, in fact I've just remembered something. This is going to have a pommel nut on the end, so I mustn't make that any, whoops, sorry, I'm just talking. I mustn't make that any wider, because I want to put a pommel on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grind the tang a little narrower, and that should work nicely. Hang on a sec, let's do that. Push stick. That do the trick. Haha, look at that. Perfect fit. And it's square. Okay, now, obviously, if it's not square, you're going to have to do a little bit of grinding here to get the two pieces to fit nicely. I am also going to be welding a threaded rod onto the end here, just a small piece to take the pommel that I'm going to be putting on. And of course, again, like I said in the beginning, the cross guard still has to go on. So, we can see a beautifully, see the polish marks where the drill bit was on it. So you can see beautiful, where is it? There we go. Nice hole through and through. Smaller at the back. And where is it? There we go. And with a perfect And I mean perfect fit. I'm quite chuffed with that. Okay, in all honesty, this doesn't often happen. I generally have to do a lot of compensation to get it all to fit rather neatly, but thank goodness for this video. It all worked nicely. Alright, and then of course, you just finish the handle as you normally do. I won't do a video on how I finish this handle. You'll just see, look at pictures on Facebook of it. But yeah, that's pretty much how you fit a narrow tang, whether it's on a Bowie knife, or in this case a dagger. Remember the Bowie knife, our tang will be much wider, so you draw the lines at more of an angle, and just make sure when you put your drill bit, line your drill bit up with your line, it lines up with that wider. Okay, so that's how you drill through a piece of wood. Thank you very much for watching, and please subscribe. Thanks.